I have 3 short sponsor messages before we get into today's show. First, if you have a great domain name and nothing to show when people visit, you're missing out on potential advertising revenue, leads, and partnership opportunities. NicheWebsites.com can build you a site quickly with a price option to suit any need. But as their tagline says, they don't just build websites, they build businesses. Second, if you're buying or selling a domain name or a portfolio and you want an estimate of its value, Estimate.com is the place to go. Just like you'd visit Zillow.com to get an estimate of a house value, Estimate.com provides key information about the most important statistics so you can make an informed decision based on data. Finally, DNX.com is a domain name exchange that uses a reverse auction platform to provide fair market prices for quality domain names that are manually filtered by an experienced broker. At DNX.com, domain prices drop until someone decides the price is right. But don't wait too long or the domain you love might be purchased by someone else. All 3 sponsors have a clickable banner in the upper right-hand corner of DomainSherpa.com. Here's your program. Hey everyone, I'm Michael Seiger, publisher of DomainSherpa.com, and this is the Domain Sherpa Review. This is the show where we get into the minds of successful domain name investors using real examples so we can learn strategies and tactics. We have 3 sections on the review: an investor-submitted domain name portfolio to discuss and value, a marketplace list from namejet.com, and we're going to wrap it up with our Name That Price game. Joining us today on the Domain Sherpa Review are 3 past Sherpas and thought leaders. In order from left to right, we have Adam Dicker, CEO of dnforum.com and nichewebsites.com, the company that will help you build, rank, and update your business website. Andrew Rosener, CEO of domain name brokerage MediaOptions and partner of the reverse auction domain name marketplace DNX.com. And on the far right to my left, we have Paige Howe, founder and president of joedomains.com and domainoutlet.com. We're also joined by Mike Blecher for today's investor submitted portfolio review. Mike and the Sherpas, welcome to today's show.
Thank you.
Hello.
We're going to jump right into the first section. In the domain portfolio review, we take user-submitted domain name portfolios and provide honest and constructive feedback to the owners. If you're watching this show on YouTube, click on the link in the description to look at the lists that are associated with today's show. As I mentioned, today's portfolio was submitted by Mike Blecher on the panel today. As part of Mike's submission, he made a generous donation. Don't laugh at him. I screwed it up. He made a generous donation to the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center to help us all find a cure for cancer. So thank you for doing that, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike's list of 25 domain names starts with ChinesePokerInvitational.com and ends with SportsbookCA.com. Drew, let's start with you. What do you think of Mike's list, and what domains do you like on the list?
Okay, so I'm going to be brutally honest here. I don't see a whole lot on here that I like. I've been pretty open about the fact that I'm not bullish at all on these sort of long tail domains. I'm definitely not bullish on sort of the geo-specific long-tail domains. And I much rather see Mike, take the renewal fees for these 30 names and put it into one good name for $300, $500, that he can hopefully flip for $1,000, and then roll that into another name that he can flip for $2,500, and then roll that into something bigger. If I had to pick a couple, sportsbookca.com. Not a bad domain. It's kind of a typo of sportsbook.ca. I don't know if that's a developed website or not. But it could be an alternative for either California sportsbook, which would be wholly illegal, or a Canadian sportsbook, which I'm not entirely clear about the laws in Canada for sportsbooks. Adam, you can defer to Adam for that. Look, overall, gaming and gambling and sports books, these are industries that make a lot of money. The laws, are sort of not black and white, particularly as it pertains to the United States. The United States has shown their authority over .com by seizing lots and lots of .com gambling-related domains. So I don't know. I think that these names have limited upside. And like I said, I'd rather see Mike take the $300 it's going to cost to renew these names and roll it into one good name that he can then hopefully flip by making some phone calls or putting it out with a domain broker or with a buy it now price in some of the marketplaces.
Yeah. So you're the king of the long keyword phrase, Drew. We've talked. I've had you on the show. We've talked about keyword phrases that maybe gather a lot of traffic, like Chinese poker, invitational. But do these not have enough traffic to make them?
Well, let's not confuse traffic with search. So I don't think any of these are going to garner any traffic at all.
Okay.
But I think that unless there is a sportsbook.ca, then I would expect that sportsbookca.com does have some traffic.
Might get some type-in traffic accidentally from that domain.
As a typo of the other one. No, so I think you're referring to more search volume as opposed to traffic.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, look, as I said, I'm a lot less bullish than I used to be on sort of 3 or 4 word long tail keywords, even if they have a lot of search volume. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, if a keyword string does have a lot of search volume, it has intrinsic value.
Yep.
If it gets out beyond 2 keywords, I think that intrinsic value starts depreciating significantly. And again, I don't think any of these keyword strings here for Mike's portfolio have much search volume of any consequence.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Paige, let's go over to you. Do you agree, disagree with Drew, and what domains do you like on this list?
Well, thanks again, Mike, for submitting it. Thanks for coming in. I think it depends where you start. So first I looked at the list. I saw a lot of long names. Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of names that had 3 words, and the 3 words could almost go either way, almost like that little game where they move the different things around. You could be gambling online international, international online gambling international. So it almost creates 9 possibilities for each name, and it would only be when those 9 possibilities were all taken and the one that you have is the best of the 9 that someone would actually, I think, pay you extra. Because the buyer, most likely of a domain name, his first thought is still, what can I get for registration fee where I don't have to pay any premium? So I think with your inventory here, you could put them out. I would put them out. I would price them. I would be willing to sell them. I would try to sell them and hope that you can sell them. And I would price them, probably most of them under $300. And the only reason I say that is I think the buyers are going to have a lot of other choices at reg fee, and you're just hoping that they actually like one of your names better. So the majority of the names I felt were 3-word names that could have a lot of substitution from other options. Now, the ones that I thought were the better ones are Chinese poker tournaments, international online gaming, and international online gambling, because at least it was the right order of the 3 words.
And what
do you have there? You have something that you could make valuable if you build a site, but the question is, to be a valuable domain name, could someone be better off with your name than what they chose? And that's where I don't know if I'd want to own them. Right. Sports and racebook betting is a very good name for that, and I would probably put an affiliate site on that and at least try to make some money, while you own it. It's such a competitive area that I don't think the name alone is going to get you search conversion traffic. It's what you do with the site. Right. And then you have to ask yourself, if it's what I do with the website, then why did having a good domain name, make a difference at the beginning? And that's why I would encourage you to go for shorter names, 2-word names. And I actually took some of the words that you've got in these names, ran some combinations through our machine, and found some 2-word combos that were available. And I registered some, and I'll put them in the outlet this week if anyone's looking and wants to go look at them. Where at least you're in there with a 2-word name. There's less substitution, and someone may go for it. The only name I thought that was brandable was maybe the Wireless Gambler, but then wireless would be the 3rd choice behind mobile and online and some other words for that. We don't really talk about being wireless anymore. Like, hey, are you wireless? No, I'm mobile. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, it does say what it does, but I think sometimes I talk about domaining as you're selling flowers in a flower field. Guys are driving by and there's sunflowers there, and they can get out of their car and they can buy them for free. And you've set up this little stand where you're selling the best ones, and they're like, I know you can get these for free, but if you want one of mine that I've already picked, it's going to be, $20 or $40 or something like that. So I would just encourage you that to get to this type of list, wait 24 hours, relook at it and say, is there anything super special? Maybe get one or two, and then shoot higher the next time you go in. So that would be my encouragement for you, Mike.
So, Paige, on the few domains that you thought were better than the rest on this list, the Chinese pokertournaments.com, I think you said the...
Sports and racebook betting, yeah.
Yeah, what kind of price would you put on those if you were putting them in your marketplace, if you owned them?
I'd put them at like $1,499 to $1,999.
Yep.
And put a $300 minimum bid.
Yep.
And hope that I caught somebody.
All right. And good input on development. I think all of us wish that we could develop every single name that we had, but at the end of the day, I know Adam's done a ton of development, Drew's done development, I've done development. If you're going to spend that much time on development, you usually want like a killer name. You want a single word or a two-word phrase, and once you're a year into it, you're like, I wish I just spent the $10,000 or $20,000 for all the time that I've spent and money that I've spent in hosting and design work and everything. If we're going to do the development, it's worth just buying the better name. Wouldn't you agree, Drew?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I can't stress it enough.
All right, let's go to Adam. Adam, you often have different viewpoints than other panelists. We saw it on the last show where Jeff Gabriel came on. What do you think of Mike's list?
Well, first of all, I'm running them through Paige's machine.
Did you just print that when Paige said he had a machine?
It's a very detailed machine. So one of the things I looked at was, and I'll talk to Mike first. A couple questions for you, Mike. When were these names bought?
Some of them going back, I guess, over the last couple of years. The Wireless Gambler was probably one of my first ones.
All within 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. Did you buy them all for registration fees, or did you pay extra for any of them?
No, just paid, I believe, all of them for regular registration fees.
Okay. In 2 years, have you had any offers or inquiries on any of them?
I've gotten some emails, but nothing substantial as far as anything that was viable.
Okay. All right. So thanks for the answers, Mike. So looking at the list, it's not the greatest list, and it shows that sometimes just putting three terms together may not give you the best possible domain names. But there were a few that I liked, and I thought I liked international poker tournaments because poker tournaments are huge. If I had to pick a name, you could build that name and build a directory of poker tournaments and maybe sell advertising to some of the tournaments. I do like racebook wagering. I think that's good. Being a person that's familiar with gambling terms, that's obviously a great term, and both those terms go well together. I did like the Wireless Gambler as well because I think it's a very good brandable name, especially now that everything's going wireless. So I didn't think those were bad names. The other ones, not really feeling it on some of the other ones. Sportsbook CA, to answer Drew, sports betting in Canada is illegal, and there is a sportsbook.ca, but it pretends it's a local casino, but it's actually an offshore casino. So the best advice I can give you is when you're buying domain names, make sure that a couple things. One is that you can think of a reason why a specific business or a business person would want to buy that domain name, and use that as a guide, because it's really important to understand what you're thinking when you buy. The decisions you make when you're buying, as we all know, will affect what will sell down the road. So try to think about it as, is it just for one business, or are there many businesses that could be interested in buying this domain name? And the other thing that I like to do is I like to put on a $500 or $1,000 test on it. So basically, would you buy Chinese poker tournaments for $1,000? Chances are you're not going to sell too much lower than $1,000, but if you can't figure out why you would pay $1,000 for it, somebody else or an end user may not be able to figure it out either. So I do that when I look at names, whether I'm thinking about dropping them. I think, would I be willing to buy this name for $500? And if I can't think of why I'd be willing to buy it for $500, I know I'm not going to have an easy time selling it for above $500. So those are two good points I can give you. The list isn't bad. I mean, I haven't seen your whole list. This is obviously just part of it that's targeted towards gambling. I won't say you're completely on the wrong track, but I'd say about 80 to 90%. So what you really need to do, and you were smart for coming on the show, is Now you can refocus, and you can maybe learn or add me on Skype or add one of the other guys if you want. Adam.Dicker, ask me whatever questions you want, and I'll try to guide you in a better direction. Obviously, I'm not going to charge you for it, but I want to make sure that the next time the thing that helped me out the most was when people gave me guidance at the beginning, because I didn't know everything and I was still learning.
Right.
So it's important to get that guidance and get pushed in the right direction at the beginning. Why did you choose the gambling names? Are you quite familiar with gambling, or you just picked a niche?
Well, there's a number of different verticals that I have domains in. As far as specific to gambling and gaming, I live here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And I'm also in the. I'm sorry?
That helps, and you've got a lot of baseball hats behind you, so I'm guessing you're a baseball fan.
Yeah, my caps. Well, it's to protect my head.
There you go.
My unique hairstyle. Well, one thing that I noticed here in Las Vegas is everywhere you go, of course, it's either racebook or sports and racebook or racebook gambling. You know, obviously living in this town and in the state, you see gambling. It's all over. I noticed a trend that was happening not only here in Las Vegas, but in the state, and then, of course, what's been going on around the United States. What really kind of initiated all this a couple of years ago was I was in one of my casinos here, one of the local casinos, and a gentleman came in. He was totally out of breath. He drove supposedly across town to come to this particular hotel to place a bet, and he was frustrated because the hotel didn't have an online gambling mobile application set up at the time. And it kind of made me think, because it was a huge line, maybe about 75 or 80 people. It was for one of the baseball games, again, about a couple of years back. And it just got me thinking. So I started looking into it, and I started doing a little bit of research, maybe, per the Sherpas, not as much as I probably should have done. But I did see a trend happening with gaming, not only here in the state, but also what's been going on in multiple states around the country, let alone worldwide. And as far as gaming here in Nevada was concerned, you started seeing over the last year or two a few more of the casinos come out with their online gaming apps. And the way it works, if you're not familiar, at least in the state of Nevada, is you can place a bet on your cell phone, but you can only do it in the state of Nevada. So even though you may have an account with one of the station hotels, for example, if I went to the Nevada-California border and I went to go place a bet, it wouldn't accept it because of the geofencing that they do and the tracking with the cell towers. So you had to predominantly be in the state of Nevada. In the research that I was doing, I saw that online gaming has been expanding exponentially over the last couple of years, and where things are going over the next 3, 5, 10 years. And that's the pretense behind all the international stuff, because I do see at one point, one day, not only opening more in the United States, but more importantly, worldwide. And when I looked at some of the gaming sites, everybody had, well, not everybody, but a majority had their own very brandable names, but I couldn't understand why the most common names out there, like Sportsbook or Racebook, weren't being used, and that's what was behind some of the domains that I had gotten. Andy, to reference the CA...
Hold on one second, Mike. Any response from the Sherpas on Mike's thought process around buying Sportsbook, Racebook, domain names?
I mean, I can see, listen, he's only got $260 into this portfolio, this little list of names, so it's not going to be hard for him to get that out of it, which really is the goal of domaining. I put together a lot of casino and sportsbook websites before, and a lot of them are based in Costa Rica. So I'm familiar with it. A lot of them use their own brand names, though, and a lot of them really don't want to be detected. So they're constantly moving servers, and they do change their name. Some of them change their name fairly often. But I mean, if you're in Nevada and you can market to Nevada, you have a good chance of selling these domain names. There's no question about it that poker tournaments are huge. And when you look at it, it's Chinese poker. It's not marketing to Chinese people playing poker. So we know Chinese poker is a game. So, I mean, there's some potential with it as long as you market it to Nevada. I think you're definitely going to get your $260 out of it, for sure. But I wouldn't go ahead and renew too many of these if you've got like 6 or 8 months left. Keep some of the good ones we've talked about and try to aggressively market the other ones to get rid of them.
Yep, good feedback. Hey, Mike and I spoke yesterday briefly while we were doing the technical check. Mike had a great question about buying variations, plurals, and phonetic spellings. When you guys buy a domain name that you love, and it could have a plural issue, or people might get confused and think plural or singular, or it could be spelled phonetically. What do you guys recommend on that? Do you buy all variations, or do you just go with the main domain name, the most popular version of it for investing purposes, and cut your stick with your investment on that?
I'll be quick here. For me, it depends if it's a business that I plan on building. If it's a business, then I'm going to buy them all, and I have bought them all before. But if it's just a page that I'm going to park or I want to sell, I'm not going to bother.
You're going to go with the main one.
Yeah.
If it's for investment, I mean, you go with the best of breed, and that's it.
Yep. All right.
I'll say that there's some specific times when you want to get both ONE and the number one, words that you're not sure if they have common substitutes, and I'm now blanking out on some of those right now, but just
like for the number 4 or the word
yeah,
for
something like that.
Sometimes you get double letters.
Words that have become where they may have a slang substitute, but then they have a real one too, so you might want both of them. But then it gets to be the size of the opportunity. If it's just a name in my portfolio, it would have to be a really obvious substitution that I want to get. And then like Adam said, if it's a name where you really think you're going to be asking 10, 40,000, or if I'm going to be putting it like on Andrew's letter, and it would just be obvious that someone say, I'm not going to buy that unless I have this, then you would want to go ahead and at least make sure you had that, up front or something like that. So only in the real obvious cases, but then I do think it makes sense, even just as a domain only, to have the obvious one.
Mike, we got time for one more question. Is there a question that you wanted to ask the Sherpas?
You know what?
If you don't have one, I'm going to ask you one, Mike.
Okay.
Do you have a question? All right. We discussed a little bit. What would you say are a couple of, we discussed you have other domain names besides these 25. Clearly, we can't review your entire portfolio. People would love that if we could do that, and everybody receives those emails daily. But if you had to pick just 2 or 3 domain names from the rest of your portfolio that you really like, that you wanted to get a quick review from the Sherpas on, what 2 or 3 domain names might those be?
That was the fun question from yesterday that you asked me. Well, one of them in the medical industry that I have is, and I actually just acquired this through auction, was healthandmedicalinsurance.com.
Healthandmedicalinsurance.com.
I already owned healthcareandmedicalinsurance.com, and I became aware of this one that was coming up for auction and submitted for it and actually won it just recently.
Cool. 4-word domain name. What do you guys think of that domain?
I mean, I'll jump in there. I've sold a lot of domains, insurance domains. Insurance has been my expertise. I mean, I can say that, insurance domains was the foundation of building MediaOptions to where it is today. I certainly like healthandmedicalinsurance.com a hell of a lot better than all the other names we've talked about today. It's a name that if it came up on, NameJet and I saw it myself, I'd probably buy it too. It's not a name I'd put a ton of money into. I'd have to look to see if there's any search volume or not. But it is a nice little brand, and it says what it is. It means what it says, and it certainly could be the basis for building a little health insurance lead gen site. And, it's getting a little bit trickier with health insurance these days with the Obamacare and forced health insurance and the local, state, insurance marketplaces, et cetera, and then cracking down on, imposters that are trying to do lead gen. But nonetheless, it's not a bad domain. I probably wouldn't invest the money to build it out because I think there's just better opportunities to invest that money. But look, if you own that name and you got it for a decent price, it's definitely one you should hang on to, and there's a good chance you'll eventually sell it. I mean, if I were you, I'd use like the Estabot lead gen tool to figure out or just simply Google the keyword term in quotation marks, and email the first 50 people that pop up, and offer them the name for $5,000, $7,500, $15,000 at the upper end. And see what offers come in, and I'd be willing to bet one of those first 50 people will probably buy it from you for some price.
Yep. All right. What's one more name, Mike?
One more. Well, with what's happening coming from the tech world, I have in the let's say what's going on with 5G, 5G HD.
5GHD.com. Adam, what do you think about 5GHD.com? And you're on mute. Okay.
I always put myself on mute. No, 5G HD, I think it's good. I think it's probably one of your more interesting names. I've started buying a lot of the 3D, 4D, and 5D printers. I did buy some 4G and 5G domains before, so it's interesting. I mean, I think it'll be a good name, and it probably has some potential. Obviously, you have to sit on it for a bit, but I mean, for $10 or whatever you paid for it, so even as a short character name, it's pretty good.
All right. Paige, any final thoughts? Oh, it doesn't look like you're muted, Paige, but I don't hear you.
Paige is saying he loves the name and he loves the green shirt.
Paige said, if I read his lips correctly, I think he was offering you $5,000 for it. Is that correct, Paige?
With the 13.5 that he holds up?
13,500.
Yeah, that's what it was. Oh, somebody watches the show, Mike.
I know. All right. Well, we're having technical difficulties. Mike Bletcher, thank you for submitting your portfolio. We hope this review was helpful for you and directing you towards tactics that can help you make more money and reduce your expenses in the future. And thank you for making a generous donation to help find a cure for cancer.
Gentlemen,
thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure meeting you guys. And I just want to leave on this. This is exactly what your program is all about. If everybody that submitted a name was going to walk away, with $1 million domains, it would take the fun out of it. This is exactly it, and I do appreciate all the feedback from everybody. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you,
Mike.
Mike.
Most people don't come on here and walk away with $1 million domains. You're right, and a lot of people do get negative feedback, and sometimes you learn from the negative things, not always the positive things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wish early on somebody had slapped me across the face and said, "Hey, wake up! Stop being stupid and registering, bad domains."
Yeah, Drew. If anybody hasn't watched that video that we did with Drew, how he spent his first $300,000 in the domain name industry, that was a pretty phenomenal interview. All right, so thank you very much, Mike.
Not there yet. At that high. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thanks,
Take
Mike.
care.
Take care.
We're gonna move on to the marketplace list. This section is sponsored by NameJet, and we're reviewing 20 domain names heading to auction soon. If you'd like one of the names below, click through, because once they go to auction, you're going to lose your chance to put in a minimum bid of $69 and be part of that auction, or even to watch what the results are. The links below go directly to NameJet. They're not commissionable links. They're just trackable links, and NameJet can see if we're sending them in any traffic. The list starts with 411.net and ends with utilities.co. And we're going to start with Adam. Adam, what do you like on the list and why?
Testing.
Yeah, you're good, Paige.
Yeah, but it's not your turn to speak, so relax.
Just jumping in for a test. All right.
So with this list, I think 411.net is okay. I like apples.com. Obviously, you're going to get a lot of typos probably for Apple. I own applepicking.com, and I get all kinds of wackos asking me where the best place in Nevada is or wherever to go pick apples. But I like apples. I think it's a good one. I like GED testing. It's going to be very popular. Lots of practice tests. That could be a really good developed site. I'll skip down to Quick Cache Advance because I think Quick Cache Advance is also good. It's very popular. There's caching places everywhere. Music Studio, good. Definitely a good name. Loans Info, I'm not sure about that. Doesn't really go well together. School fights.
Well,
we had
loans.info doesn't go well together.
I don't know. It doesn't sound. I mean,
maybe
loan.info
would be better.
Yeah, I just don't like the plural with it. I mean, it's not bad, but I don't like it.
I see. Okay.
School fights we've had on a previous show. I said it'd be good for a video site. Not that I'm encouraging school fights. That exactly what I said the last time. Smash Design. I think that's a cool brandable for a web design company, but I don't know who really wants to. They have to come up with a better slogan than "We'll smash you if you don't pay." I don't know. Tasers is good. It's a product. It's always good. Smash Design. Our designs will smash the competition. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. So I like Smash Design. Taser is good again because it's a product, and that's about it, I think.
All right. So on apples, I think a lot of people just steer clear of anything that's gonna, show up with a lawsuit.
I would set up a site with every apple recipe you could find.
Can't you, couldn't you just point it at, if it does get a ton of traffic, couldn't you just point it at one of those, like, survey sites or something like that? If you steer clear of Apple computer products, like, it should be a clean domain, right?
Yeah, you could definitely use the traffic and point it to a survey site where you get paid by ClickBank or who else. You're definitely going to get a fair bit of traffic on that, especially you'll get a lot of traffic, but I like it. I think it's a good name. I certainly wouldn't turn it away.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's come back. Paige, what do you think about the list?
Thought there was some great names on the list. My favorite was musicstudio.com.
Why do you like that one so much?
I think it is the exact name for, someone who's in the pre-production of music, and people that are into music are passionate about it and creating it, and you've got products and services between mixers, and there's a lot of stuff going on with kind of online chorusing, and me being able to jam with someone somewhere else in the country, and we can each put down our own tracks. And so anyway, I think there's a lot of products and services around it. I didn't check to see if there was a product called Music Studio right now, but I think it was my favorite name of the bunch. Good car insurance was number 2. I think, it opens up, whether you talk about the quality of the actual insurance or a good price, I just felt like it went with it real well. Mm-hmm. I did like 411.net. I'm, 52, so I guess I still remember dialing 411 on the phones. And there's still some people out there that are used to doing that, and paying $1.50 every time we did it. So I really like that name for a directory. It also kind of got hip for a while. What's the 411? So I like that one. And EZ3, I think besides being a 3-character name, which has some scarcity value, it's easy to remember because it's EZ3. So thought that was terrific. GED testing, I would stay away from. It is trademark, GED.
What? It is?
Yeah, I think the owner of GED.com actually lost the name. Or it might have been .net. It might have been GED.net. One of them, it might have been .org. It was one of the 3 last year, I believe, lost the name in a UDRP. GED is a trademark term, 110%.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
As are a lot of the LSAT and SAT and a lot of the testing and stuff like that.
Those are proprietary tests. Those are.
All right.
For the record,
Tasers is the same thing. What's that?
Yeah, Tasers is trademark.
One second, Adam. What were you saying about GED?
It's GED.net that got hit with the UDRP in 2005.
All right.
There was another one last year, though. There was another one last year.
Paige, you were saying Tasers is also...
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of people that'll put in their descriptions. It's so funny with stinking Google because it's almost like they'll take your money to advertise on the Taser keyword, but I think you would lose the domain name if you tried to sell tasers on tasers.com.
Yeah, I typed in tasers into trademark 247.com. Nothing came back, but Taser is registered trademark. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Quick Cash Advance I think is one that's got a strong wholesale and retail value, and that it's probably one of the, you say, well, you can put a lot of words before Quick Cash Advance. You can put easy or fast or different things, but it's one of the better words to put before it in an area that pays pretty well. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty strong. I didn't like the other TLDs.
You didn't like them?
Well, I didn't like him in terms of making kind of like a namejet quality list. If I could get Party XYZ for reg fee, I'd do it. But it's almost funner to go look at more names for reg fee than it would be to try to, outbid a bunch of people on that one.
Protein diet menu. That's not a premium.
I don't know if .menu is quite caught on enough to have the 2 words be elevated to.
You got to invest for the future, baby. All right, let me ask you this: What about musicstudio.com? What do you think that's going to sell for on Namejet?
I hope it sells for under 2,000 or 3,000, because then I might buy it. But we'll see. 57,000 is the estimate. If it's a busy day, maybe everyone's watching the World Cup, or they're out buying new TLDs. Maybe no one will come. I'll say it'll go for 11,000 or 12,000.
Yeah. All right. And what about Miami Lawyer? Oh, that's a .co. You didn't talk about MiamiLawyer.co because it's a .co?
Yeah, I just think it might be. It's a nice name. It's a good name, but it might be the 20,000th best .co. So I don't know if I'd speculate on it.
Fair
and then
enough.
the best one word was headaches, and that's a good name. It's a place a lot of people are looking for research, but in the whole scheme of things, in .co, it might be the 35,000th best .co name or something. So I wouldn't.
I understand. Hey, Drew, I worked with Scott on this list. Pot.menu was on there for you. Not that you smoke out or anything. No judgments. I'm not saying you do anything. I'm just saying I know you've been known to register or buy a domain name that's related to marijuana. Do you like pot.menu?
Look, it's not the worst domain I've ever seen, but I'm not really a .menu kind of guy.
So you're not going to put in a bid? Are
No,
you just
I'm not.
saying that to throw people off and then you're going to, like, snap it up?
No, I'm not going to be, I won't be buying pot.menu.
All right. Because
Yeah.
you're just not sure about .menu.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that I'm not sure about .menu. It's just like, it's like what Paige said. It's at the end of the day, I don't care how much money you've got or resources. You're looking to use it efficiently, right? And can my money be better spent somewhere else? And I'm 100% certain that I can spend my money somewhere else better than registering or bidding for pot.menu.
All right. What do you like on the list?
I think we've covered all the decent names. I think,
But what are your favorite?
Music Studio for sure is far and away my favorite name here. I like apples.com a lot, but I think that, it's a bigger headache than might be worthwhile. I actually have some personal history with the apples.com name, and I know the owner, and I've, seen the traffic stats, and I don't think it's as much traffic as you might think. It's rare for the plural. So if the typo version is a plural and the actual version of the high traffic website is the singular, it's rare that people add the S. It's very common, on the other hand, that people forget the S and go to the singular version. So if the Apple Technology Company's real website was apples.com and the name that we were discussing was apple.com, I'd say, geez, I'm all over this thing. This is going to have monster traffic.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case here. Nonetheless, apples.com is a killer name. Apples, probably the most common fruit, at least in America. And, a lot of positive connotations. I mean, it can be used for a lot of different things. Stupid .menu. Recipes and all different, there's lots of things you could do with it. I like it. It's a nice name.
Yeah.
But I certainly wouldn't pay the, $50K plus that I think it'll probably end up doing on Namejet. GED testing, for sure, trademark name. I would avoid it personally. It does appear to get, some traffic though, so it's probably worth something to somebody who's willing to take the risk. Music Studio for me is far and away the best name. I expect that name to go over 10 grand, or let's say 8 to 10 grand is probably where I expect it to go. Might go a little higher. Tasers, I also, like we said, trademark name. Like a utilities.co, utility comparison, so like home electricity bills, etc. This is a hot industry, lead gen. It's growing. It's becoming more popular. But, it's .co. I like it. I mean, I'd certainly buy it if it was reg fee. I don't know that I'd pay more than a few $100s for it in an auction. .co, my feelings there are I like .co. If we went back to 1995 or 1985 or whatever, when I was going to register my first domain and somebody said to me, look, you can have .com or .co, I'd go with .co every time because I like it. It's shorter, and I like short. The shorter the better for me. But that's not the case, and .com is what it is and has become the dominant force, and likely that won't change. And so, I like .co for startups. I've sold a couple short brandable ones to startups. between 2,500 and $5,000. I sold one for $8,000. And so I like names that can be good startup brandable things, like, whatever, just short names. Like we have bloom.co, and I get a lot of inquiries, like I'd say 1 or 2 a week on bloom.co, because it could be, the name of a startup in a million different industries, including pot. So, that's my feeling with all these .co names. I don't think any of them are really great brands for a startup, and so I don't think they have much upside potential for a flip. Party.xyz I like, and I probably will bid for that name because I sold parties.com for a pretty substantial amount.
And they're pretty similar.
Yeah, very similar, equal value. Look, here's the deal. I've sort of avoided this war that's going on about the internal domain industry discussion of what's happening with .xyz.
But now it's gonna hit, baby. Let us have it. Come on.
Yeah, you want me to lay it all out here? All right, here's my feeling. I think I have personally done millions of dollars in business with Daniel Nagari. I think Daniel Nagari is one of the hardest working and sharpest people in our industry, and I would never, he's probably the last person in our entire industry, and I mean that, probably the last person that I would ever bet against. I think that failure is not an option for Daniel, and he will do whatever it takes and spend whatever amount of money it takes to make .xyz a success. The way that you and I and most domainers define success is not necessarily what makes a registry successful.
Right.
I think Daniel has shot himself in the foot making some statements which maybe can be interpreted as arrogant. But ultimately what it comes down to as a registry operator is how many domain names are registered. And I don't really care, or a registry doesn't really care, how those names get registered as long as they get paid for them. And it appears that .xyz has been paid for every registration that's happened, and whatever questionable tactics have been used to get those domains registered, it is of my opinion that, look, I think this is a savvy tactic. I mean, is it questionable in terms of ethics? Maybe. Probably. However, he is standing on top of all of those registrations and supposedly has been paid for them, and I have no reason to doubt that he has until somebody shows me evidence that that's not true. And, look, I think a very high percentage of those are going to be renewed next year.
You think a high percentage are going to be renewed?
Yes, because people are too lazy to opt out.
Ah, interesting. So you think the network solutions people that are giving them for free, they're going to go on to auto renew, and people are just going to be too lazy and they're going to pay the money?
Yeah, Enom is notorious for this. I forget what it is. It's not the privacy. It's like make your domain mobile or some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to opt out of it. And I can't tell you how many thousands of freaking dollars I've spent renewing that stupid option totally by accident because I was too lazy to go in there and remove it from each domain individually.
All right, interesting. I hadn't heard that. Adam, you've got a different viewpoint? You don't think that they're going to renew?
I have a couple questions. So after Drew's given that great promo for Enom, we'll lead into his other question where he says that the registries don't view it the same as we do. So, Drew, are you trying to tell me that the registries don't really care about the domain industry, but they're just in it for profit?
No. Well,
say it isn't so.
For sure, they're with 100% certainty they are all in it for only profit. But in an argument to that, I will tell you this: I am in this industry, I am in my business purely to make a profit, and if I'm not making a profit, I'm going to leave. Luckily for me, I'm in.
So I understand what you're saying, that it doesn't really matter if a TLD, GTLD, whatever you want to call it, becomes worldwide, widespread, whatever, as long as they're selling more than it's making more money than it's costing them to own that registry. They're basically operating it like a business.
Absolutely.
They don't care about saturation.
Yep. This is the business. This is a pure capitalism. This is capitalism at its best. I think that, look, if I were to go back, I fell asleep. I was sleeping on the opportunity to get one of these name strings. I looked at it from the domainer perspective. I looked at it and said, who the hell wants .xyz? Who the hell wants .menu? Who the hell wants .linked? But the fact of the matter is that there's enough people that are going to want it that it becomes a viable business. You don't need that many registrations in order to operate one of these registries as a viable business. And if you have multiple strings, then it becomes even less registrations that you need. So this was probably one of the greatest business opportunities that has happened in my lifetime, was to become a registry operator, because this is a cash flow business that is going to continue to perpetuate. And there's a lot of really ignorant people out there, and I will call them out as ignorant, making stupid statements on blogs, saying things that they're uneducated about, such as .xyz will be the first domain registry to fail, and to whatever the exact words were. Okay, that is an ignorant statement.
No, because clearly it's going to be .rich.
All right, who said that, Andrew?
That I'm ignorant.
Paige, you were shaking your head no, that it's not a good business to be in when Drew was saying that? Did you have some thoughts on that?
Operating a registry on the internet is a public resource. And I firmly believe that when you manage a public resource, you get a monopoly, and it comes with monopoly responsibility to operate the interest for the good of the public and for the good of the internet, and not just how much money can you make in the first 4 months. Because in my opinion, these registries are spending all the money they make. They all assume it's going to come down the road. And just because someone got their 185 back in 4 months, there's still an ongoing commitment to run that registry. And these guys that only have 8,000 registrations and they make a net of $4,000 a name, they're not going to be able to afford a business development person, the E&O insurance, all the other junk you have to have, and they're going to be sitting there looking at the TLD going, how can we get more money out of it? We need to charge more. The registrants need to pay more fees. So, I mean, just the fact that there's this little window where they're cash flow positive. We did the numbers. We applied for .kids back in 2000. I know what it looks like in year 2, 3, and 4, okay? And if you're not growing, then yeah, you're not going to lose money. You're not going to go out of business, but you're going to be sitting there stuck in a business, just like Newstar is with Biz and Affiliates with Info. You bury it somewhere in the corporation. Right. There's no one in charge of it. It pays a bunch of everyone's bills, but it doesn't do a darn thing for the world or for the internet. So.
But Paige, that is so altruistic. Are you telling me that you wouldn't love to own .info? Because I can tell you, the first guy that comes to my door and says, "Hey, you want to own .info?" Yeah, it might not be growing, but it is a great cash flow. I'd be like, hell yeah.
Right. So listen, Drew. They raised $3 or $4 million from the 40 registrars. Affiliates paid $40 million to Tucows for it, and they've sat there and they've got their $40 million back. So they put in $40 million and they got their $40 million back, and now they're sitting there inside some big company. But does that? Yeah, we'd love to go in and have a TLD now that's already up and established. But who out there is doing the work to establish their TLD to build it? That's why I bought some XYZs. At least I feel like
exactly.
The rest of these guys are sitting in some little room somewhere going, I hope people buy our .webcams. I hope people buy our .whatevers, you know what I mean? But don't spend any money because we don't have any money, you know what I mean? Because we didn't get the corporate registrations that we thought we were. We all thought we were going to get 50,000 corporate trademark registrations and make all this money. I mean, you have donuts selling their names off to Right Side. Well, maybe if Right Side goes public, they can get a bunch of money, and then they'll be the ones that are going to pay for everything. So it's a lot of kissing your sister. Yeah, they're going to make money, but you also got to stick around and run the darn registry.
You do. Hey, did you see .ninja was sponsoring the X Games? They had a ninja over at the X Games.
Mike?
Yeah?
Clearly, today, we have the right wing versus the left wing, and for the first time ever, I'm Switzerland.
I know, totally. You're Canada. Everybody likes Canada, but I love that.
We don't mix in.
All right, Sherpas, we're entering the lightning round. Today, we're playing Name That Price. Who's the reigning champion? It's been so long. Oh, it was Jeff Gabriel filling in for Drew. So you got the W by the fill-in, Drew.
Did I ever win? I don't think I've ever won.
I don't think you've ever won. It's been pretty embarrassing in the past, let me tell you. All right, so here we go. Here's how the game works, Drew. It was modified for you, remember?
Hold on 1 second. I have to say one thing.
13-5.
I can't believe we let Andrew get by with the shorter the better for me. I just want to say that. Okay?
I saw Adam smirk.
I can't believe we got that. Like, okay,
I saw Adam smirk. He was about to say something, and then Drew kept talking. Yeah.
All
right. I named 3 domain names sold within the past 12 months to end users. You write down the price that it sold out. No looking up search volume. No doing any searches. No nothing. First up, crystalclear.com. Crystalclear.com. So this is a domain name that I think a lot of people might have. It's a typical phrase. People know the phrase well.
The 13.5 is dead. The 13.5 is gone.
I only picked domain names that actually sold for exactly $13,500 this week, Paige.
I know.
Is Adam frozen? Is he still there?
He's still there. All right, Paige has.
My screen is frozen.
What is that? 2,500 or is that 12,500? Paige, I can't see. 2,500 for Paige. Drew's got 38,000, and Adam is coming in late with 4,000. And the answer is $4,000 on the dot.
Oh, somebody got a steal. Crystal.
Yeah.
That's our first ever exact match.
That isn't it. That's a hole-in-one right there.
That's a hole-in-one.
He rings the bell. That's like a 300-yard with the chipper or something. Crystal Clear, $4,000 on Afternick 1 year ago. That's a good buy.
Spin the wheel or something.
Hey Drew, you think that was the buy of the century?
I heard that there's people out there that are doing fantasy domaining, betting on each one of us, like fantasy football. You know, they're like, extra points. So they just got points for Adam getting that on the nose.
Oh yeah.
Man, I can't believe that. That's a steal. CrystalClear.com for $4,000 is like one of the best deals I've ever heard. I would personally pay a multiple of that. I mean, I told you I sold blacktie.com for, mid 6 figures. And I think that's a comparable domain to crystalclear.com. I love those sort of front-of-mind phrases commonly used. That's a monster name. I mean, for a water brand, for an eyeglasses brand.
Telephone company.
I mean, can you hear me now?
So it's actually an online jewelry and watch dealer based in the UK, and it looks like it was an upgrade from their, get this, clear-crystal.co.uk. Because if you look at the footer, it still says that domain name in the footer.
Maybe they put some pressure and said, look, we've got a trademark for Crystal Clear. We're going to take this name from you, or if you don't, sell it to us cheap.
Maybe. I didn't look to see if there were any trademarks.
Next
up. You should contact them and see if they want to sell it. All right, next up. The domain is boxed.com. BOXED.com. Boxed. What do you think it sold for? Dun, 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 dun. I should get some music. Dun, 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 dun. Paige, I see a recurring process with you. 14,000. All right, so let me read the numbers. Adam said $14,000. Drew said $11,500, and Paige said $2,500. Again. And the correct answer is $35,000 on GoDaddy Auctions. Adam, he's locked it up for the day. All right, so it's sold for a lot of money. A lot more than you guys thought. Paige, why do you think that Box.com was only worth $2,500?
Well, what's it worth? That's the great part about our business.
Box.com is fantastic, right?
For it, so.
Box.com, like we all use Box.com. I use it to upload files, store information, I share it. But
I've never used it.
What? It's like Dropbox, but it's shorter domain name, and according to you, shorter is better. So
it used to be owned by Scott Day, as a matter of fact.
Oh, did it? Box.com.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. So right now, it sounds like Boxed. It sounds the same as Box. I mean, it's a good one word. It's easy to remember, but I guess I got to think more retail. Maybe not,
So you think you
wholesale,
might
but
have
I mean,
gone a little bit too low. Box.com has all your favorite big box size products at pint size prices on your phone. So basically it's an app.
I think all the arguing about XYZ screwed these guys up in their prediction.
Well, Adam, it sold for more than twice what you thought. Did the seller, who probably sold it through a GoDaddy auction and it went to the highest bidder or whatever, did the seller get a good deal, or do you think that it was a fair price at $35,000?
Well, based on what we know now, the seller got screwed. But based on what we would have known then, the seller probably got a good deal on a domain name that they didn't know what it was going to be used for. So it just goes to show you have to do research on your buyers if you can, because it will affect your pricing.
Yeah. All right. All right, let's see if Adam can shut out everybody on this show, because that's extra bonus points, hole in one and shutout. The third and final domain name is, and I know you like these types of domains, Paige. I thought of you when I selected it. TheWall.com. It's a the domain. TheWall.com. W-A-L-L. The Wall.
Need no education.
We don't need no thought control.
Nice.
TheWall.com.
TheWall.com.
All right, Drew, what do you got?
Hey, teacher, leave those kids alone.
Drew is going with 80,000. And Adam is going with 22,000. And Paige is going with 15,000. All right, so Paige is the low number, and Drew is the high number. And the answer is, it sold through Sato, whatever, $3,101.
No!
Shut up! It was
That's
on
even...
Domain Name Journal, so Paige actually takes that one. Nice job, Paige. What is going on with you guys?
I'm so surprised.
How could you miss that one by so much?
How could somebody sell that domain for $3,000?
I don't believe that's true. Look it up and let's see. There's no way it sold for $3,000.
I'm calling BS on that. I'm calling BS on that sale.
You're calling BS.
There's no way
If I
that's
find it on
right.
Domain Name Journal, what are you buying me at the next conference?
Hey, Mike, I think you're wrong.
A stiff drink.
Stiff
Mike,
drink.
NameBio, I just checked. NameBio has it at 25,000 at Sato. You big liar.
TheWall.com. Go to Domain Name Journal for
this is a 2,000 Alexa rank website.
June
These guys
12th, 2013. TheWall.com.
Check NameBio, Mike.
Hey, man, I'm just going off Domain Name Journal.
Well, what year was that sale?
2013.
Holy shit, because in 2011 it sold for $25K. I guess it dropped.
Wow. Yeah, maybe it was one of those. So it sold on Sato. Maybe it was one of those that, like, somebody didn't have the right price on it.
I ran that last one through Paige's machine and it didn't work.
All right, so you all thought the wall is worth a heck of a lot of money, at least 5 figures.
I think we hit the wall.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm blown away. That's an even better deal than Crystal Clear.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's a silly price.
All right.
The bottom line is I still won.
Well, I mean, there are some trademark issues with it.
The wall? Yeah, I don't know. I don't even understand what it was. Like, I went to the site, and it seems like it's a banking and real estate consulting firm based in Berlin, but I don't know. But you had to register. It was kind of weird. Anywho, 30 seconds apiece to promote anything you want. Adam, what's going on?
I would like to ask, first of all, I'd like to thank Mike Bletcher, who sent me an email right after the show and thanked all of us.
That's
Apparently
nice.
he's in the wearable tech space as well, so maybe we should have done that, because wearable techs are huge. You can visit him at wearable-tech, let me get it right, wearable-tech.net. And the other thing I would ask the users is, if you could learn the whole industry from an expert, would you or would you not? And post this in the comments. Would you or would you not spend $1,000 to learn the whole industry inside out?
Are you going to guarantee that people don't lose money after they go through the course?
I'm going to guarantee they'll be a little bit smarter. I'm putting out the course eventually, but I want to see how many people are interested. I'm just wrapping it up, some new stuff for it now. Basically, I'm putting the 3 books I'm doing into a course.
Very cool. All right, post in the comments. Drew, anything you want to promote?
No.
What's a good domain name that you're looking to sell?
We've got a few really good domains at the moment. We're selling freegames.com. We've got a $750,000 offer. We need $999,000 to close the deal. The thing, you're talking about 2.7 million exact match searches a month. The thing kicks off 8 to 10 grand a month in passive revenue.
Wow.
He just got it back on page 1 of Google, where it used to sit for about 10 years, but he hasn't touched the site in 18 months. He made a few updates, immediately jumped back on to page 1. Traffic is up, revenue's up, but the price is not yet up. But if it doesn't sell in the next, I think, 10, 20 days, the price is going to go up.
Freegames.com. It is number 10 on Google out of 850 million results. And number 1, addictinggames.com. Bill Caramuz is this
yeah, I mean, this is like the term for games.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a monster. 2.7 million exact match a month.
I'll take it. Paige, anything you want to promote?
We'll have some more new names on the outlet, and we've got some interesting stuff coming up later on in the month also. I'll tell you about later.
All right. If you received benefit from today's show, please post a comment and thank today's Sherpas. Thanks to Mike Bletcher for submitting his portfolio and making a generous donation to help find a cure for cancer. Thanks to NameJet for submitting their portfolio and sponsoring the Domain Sherpa Review. And thanks again to our Domain Sherpas for their experience, their thoughts, their insights, and a little bit of head-to-head today. That was fun to watch. We'll see y'all next time.